Okay, so we got another day of dev videos here, and still uploading the videos from yesterday here. I neglected to get these uploaded before I went off and did other things during the day. Ended up getting sucked into playing Ark Survival, and that lasted most of the day, and yeah. So those are uploading. Those will be finished. In those videos, since I need to follow up with them, we worked on the ICBM explosives. We fixed a few issues in the second video. The first video, we basically covered only the hypersonic. I also noticed I breathe a lot in these videos. I need to get a breath cover for my microphone. What I really need to do is actually just switch to a different mic, maybe even just toy with the settings and stuff. But today, one is going to be an interesting day because I'm going to try to get a couple more of these videos out than I got yesterday, but seeing as I have an actual cup of coffee, which is usually a bad sign, I've been switching to tea and now I've got coffee. That's how I can tell it's going to be rough today. But ignoring all that, because that doesn't matter whatsoever, because most people are going to watch this video and it's going to be later weeks probably down the road before anybody actually ends up watching these. We're going to work more on the explosives, and we're trying to just get this thing stabilized. And with all those who keep asking about updates and like why I'm taking so long and doing stuff, I want to stabilize everything. I keep coming with excuses saying what we're doing, why we're doing this, why we're doing that, but it really does come down to the fact that nothing is in a finished state of mind. And it's been this way for a while. It's the reason why we never really went with the 180 update. Was the original reason we gave for not updating, and then we switched our story to say we're trying to build an abstraction layer, which is true. We are trying to build an abstraction layer. We're trying to fix things. We're trying to get Wikis up. But yeah, there's like no plan going on here. I'm trying to fix that though. That is actually something that's been heavily worked on. I'm trying to recruit new devs, and I neglected to mention this in a couple videos, but we did lose a couple of our developers. They left the team. So Kalatra, who was with us for a while, decided that he hasn't been doing anything for a while, so he requested to be removed from the team, and I went ahead and let him leave. He's free to come and go as he wants, though, so technically he can come back and do work whenever he wants. It's still open door for that policy. But for the moment, he wants to go do his own thing, and I knew that was going to happen for a while because he was off working with the FDB team for a good while, working on their mods, and I figured he was just going to stay over there anyways. Other than that, we pretty much, I'm back down to myself and DMod again. So DMod's doing all the build servers, I'm back to doing all the coding, and pretty much no one else is doing anything. Hinneman's been busy, so he hasn't been working on military base decor. Poopsicle has been busy, he got a job somewhere, so he hasn't been working on MFFS. So yeah, I'm back to being responsible for over 100 mods again by myself. There is your actual honest God reason why I haven't updated. Too much work for one person. I am still looking for people to join the team. I will take pretty much anybody. I'm not picky. The only thing I do ask is that you want to be part of the team and you're not here for glory hogging. We have had a few people try to join the team for that reason, and as soon as they figured out that they couldn't glory hog, they left. So, yeah. Also, when it comes to curse points, we don't give those out freely either. So if you want to join for the curse points, that ain't gonna happen. So yeah, but if you want to join the team and you actually want to contribute to the project because you truly want to contribute, or you want to learn, or you just have free time, you're welcome to come in. We'll try to teach you how to do things. Biggest things we need right now is we need wiki editors because we need to get the wiki up as quickly as possible so that people are no longer confused on how to use the mods. We need people to make video tutorials for what content is available, although I do suggest holding off on that sometimes because the content really isn't there to have tutorials, or at least not full-blown tutorials. Small tutorials are okay. Guys can get by with this. Just keep in mind recipes are going to probably be reworked again as soon as we get more parts available to craft with. But yeah, wiki editing. We do need people to work on the single blocks mod. For those who have never coded before or just got into it, those are some of the best mods to work on because they're really focused, not too complicated, and just about anybody can probably update those. The only ones that'll probably be tricky would be like the railcart one and probably the grappling hook one, because the grappling hook ones I think render has to be completely recoded in newer versions. But last episode, yeah, we were shooting up and holes here, and we actually improved the ICBM, the new one's antimatter, by looking at the old ICBM antimatter. So the old one had a randomizer on its pathfinder at the end. So its last iteration, it randomized a little bit, and it gave you a a little bit of a less clean explosive hole, so to put a little extra holes here and there and stuff. I'm going to toy with that a bit more. We'll probably not do this in this episode because it's not exactly something I really need to spend time on. Anything, I need to start programming the shockwave system for the antimatter, which I did mention in yesterday's video, of where antimatter is supposed to just detonate and destroy blocks, and it's supposed to create an energy wave that goes out pretty much from here. It would probably hit that island over there. That's how powerful these would be. And for those who are going like, oh, that's too powerful, keep in mind antimatter is supposed to be one of the hardest resources to get in the game. So it's going to be so rare that you're not going to be firing this often. You use antimatter to do small things. By the way, this is the classic antimatter's hole. This is the reason why people are like, oh, these things are so underpowered. Yeah, the old version of ICBM had no balance in it. The new version is highly balanced orientated, highly realism orientated. And you gotta imagine if somebody had a base and you fired one of these, they wouldn't have a base anymore. Actually, I'm trying to decide if that one was an antimatter crater or that was a red matter. I feel like that was a red matter, and this is the antimatter one. I know definitely this one is the right antimatter one because I spent a while looking at this yesterday and I was like, look at these pothole marks and the randomizer created, and it made the hole look so beautiful. Actually, you know what? I think this was the first one I fired off, and this was the second one where I removed. Yeah, I removed the randomizer. This is what the hole looks like without randomization. That's what it looks like with randomization. It's just one line of code change, and it makes a huge difference visually. Although the reason why this hole is so deep is I think this was originally a red matter hole, and I detonated, I think, 2 antimatters in the bottom of it, and it went off. But today we're going to get back into working on things, and let me just go ahead and clear my inventory. That's going to be the easiest way to start this. We're going to take things a bit slow because, yeah, it's a rough morning. I reset my sleep schedule here recently, and needless to say, I feel like I've got a hangover. Sometimes the bad idea to hard reset sleep schedules, especially after you've been going hard with only 2 to 3 hours of sleep for a couple weeks straight. Let's take a look at the breaching explosive. I don't think this has been tested well. So how the breaching explosive is how it's supposed to work. This was explained to me by Calclavi, but I never actually saw the thing work properly because I don't think even in the old version it did what it was supposed to do. You're supposed to place this, and it's supposed to shoot a hole through like rock, pretty much. But I think it's pretty underpowered, and I don't know if the placement code works correctly. So we're going to go ahead and set this down, and it should blow a hole that direction. And I feel like it didn't go anywhere here, so let's build a better test here. So yeah, meant to be a breaching charge, and I assume it's meant to go through at least tier 2 concrete. But once again, I have no design notes from Calclavia, so I have no clue how he intended the old version to be, and I'm trying to keep the old version as close to what he wanted as possible. That way you guys, the users who enjoyed the old mod, get to continue to enjoy the old mod, and I don't ruin that experience for you guys. Because after all, I've got my own version I can toy with, which is a new version, and I'm going to keep working on that. I don't have a flat spot to work with here. I don't want to work over there because that's my test area for actual missile launching, and I don't want to blow it up. Because I hate rebuilding test workspaces. Although, you know what would be a good idea to work on today? Some scripts to build up test workspaces. Actually, hold on. I'm going to do something really quickly. I'm going to kill all this foliage off. I need an anti-plant missile. Grab one of these guys. And that rocket launcher didn't grab here. I also need to update the rocket launcher to shoot both the ICBM's rocket launchers. There we go. Kill off all the plants. Get rid of the dropped missile. Yeah, there we go. So, let's grab some tier 3 concrete real quick. Or actually, you know what? I got a better idea. Grab some bedrock. So nothing's supposed to go through bedrock except for antimatter, of course, but that's intentional. And of course, I'm having problems with my double click still. Yeah, if you ever watch me through videos and you see me place 2 blocks at once, the mouse I have has a tendency to double click. It's a little sticky on the button click. It's unfortunately the downside of having an $8 mouse and trying to do things with it. Okay, so we have a wall here, and my mouse is not double clicking now. Now it's just flat out sticking. I hate to have to spend money to buy a new mouse. That would suck so much. Okay, we got nothing with that. Now the trick is with the breaching charge is I'm trying to decide how powerful it should be. Because let's take a look at the recipe real quick. So the balance when it comes to a mod really should be based off the recipe, and then after that it's functionality. So if you don't make the recipe balanced primarily, you're going to make something too cheap and it's going to overbalance itself. Draconic Evolution is a great example of this, where it has really cool content that if balanced just a little better with its recipes and a few other things, probably would be an okay mod. But the number one complaint I always hear from people is so easy to get the highest tier content in there with just a little bit of effort. And the joke that runs around, it's balanced because it requires effort. And it's like, yeah, balance should be based a little bit more than just on effort, because then you ruin the experience for some people. Not to say it does ruin the experience, because from what I understand, actually people love the mod. And I, to be honest, find its content pretty cool as well. Anyways, let's close these guys, and we're looking for the breaching charge right here. So the breaching charge's recipe looks straightforward: gunpowder and condensed explosive. That is a really crappy recipe. And the condensed explosive is TNT with redstone. Let's take a look at condensed. Where's condensed at? This is something that I believe was a complaint by even Yogscast back in like the day, that the condensed explosive was pathetic, to be honest. And I don't think anybody sat there and just balanced it for a while. We're going to need an actual spot here. So we're going to set up regular TNT, and we're going to see how big the crater is. About a dozen blocks got blown off by that. Okay, then we'll place this guy. Or not, that wrong one. Place this guy. Instantaneous detonation, though, that's somewhat useful, but looks like we got about the same damage here. So let's take a look at the condensed explosion. It's blast repulsive, which I'm going to say is just a generic blast type. And Chinese again. Check Benjing. I'm going to say it's range. Yeah, it feels like range. So it's got a 16 block radius on it, and I'm pretty sure if I recall right, this is energy. I don't know Chinese at all, which is weird because people assume I do. I know I've mentioned I know a few words in Chinese, but that's the only reason I know words in Chinese is because I worked on this mod for a very long time before Calclavia gave it to me. So another thing people always forget is that I did work on that mod for a very long time. I wasn't just somebody who came in and ninja'd the mod. I actually had a huge contribution towards it. If not air, get block resistance minus resistance value out of energy check is what this is. This is an energy loop. I want to say this is copied directly from Minecraft, and the reason I say this is because we start to see a lot of these vars here, and the Minecraft code uses a very similar pattern system like this, but not quite this way. X step, Y step, Z step. X equals 0, Y equals 0, Z equals 0, or Z equals radius minus 1. Which would result in this equaling 0 on the second pass, equaling 1 on the third pass. What are we looking at here? That's the problem here, is that this code doesn't make a lot of sense. So we got a diagonal distance check here. So what we're checking here is we're getting the radius minus 1 times 2 minus 1 again divided by x. So we're normalizing the distance here. Then we're getting this the flat distance diagonally. Actually, no, this is normalized right here. So delta distance, I think, is what this is. Distance. This is the part where I got to reverse engineer code that I didn't write. We're getting the block here, so getting resistance. If really, if resistance is greater than, so this will break anything within the radius pretty much. Or no, if energy is greater than 0, break it. Okay. So let's go ahead and rename radial energy is what this will be called. You know what, that's probably not spelled right. Yeah, I missed an I. Okay. So this is radial energy. What looks like is the radial energy is randomized based on the radius. So as you get further away, it's supposed to get stronger, I guess. This doesn't make sense. Oh no, it's get radius. Okay, so this is a flat number. So if we start with a radius of 16, then we get a random number here. So every time we start, we get a random number. What doesn't make sense is what this stuff is. Because this looks like this will be a box-shaped iterator. But it's not a box-shaped iterator. I think these are mislabeled. But at the same time, they definitely are used for position. Okay, we get position. No, here's our position. Position is stored. Where's position stored? This.position.x, but the location isn't migrated at all. And I don't see position being modified. Unless it's modified down here, which doesn't make sense, but okay, here's entity damage, smoke particles, dropped items. Okay, no, this actually is damage for blocks. I'm not sure what this is doing, but it clearly doesn't look like it's set up correctly. Because position.x should be the same every single time. Let's take a look at this. So that's a location. I'm pretty sure that this is the center of the blast because it was being calculated right here. I probably should set it to final just to prevent it from moving. So if we're regrabbing this every single time, that means we're calculating blast resistance off the impact point, which is not good. This goes through the blown block positions. I'm going to have to just put a debug line here because I have to see what these are doing here. Because I think this explains why this is underpowered. I think the code's just broken. Okay, so we blow the block, and let's take a look at what we got here. So var 14, which is our energy, technically. Actually, okay, I think we forgot to reload here. Yeah, we forgot to reload. Let's hit play again. There we go. Yeah, see how these numbers never change right here? They're always the same. These numbers don't seem to... Hold on, let me go through that again. No, they are changing. What is modifying them, though? Some is modifying the position, but I don't see code modifying the position. But I do see code modifying... Okay, I see where I made my mistake at here. Okay, see this section of code right here? This is modifying this section of code right here. I'm assuming that this is the only value being grabbed, and I missed this value down here. That's an easy mistake. It's, as I said, it's gonna be a rough morning because I have actual coffee in front of me, so I feel like I got a hangover even though I haven't drinking alcohol in almost a year now. So this is iterate location. So we are getting new block locations. The only problem is the positioning data that we are getting isn't moving much. So I'm going to do a modification here just to make the blast go faster. If blown blocks.contains pause. So what we want to do is we want to make sure we don't having the same block twice. I don't think that is the case it's happening though. I think I know what I'm looking at here. So in yesterday's video, we found a star pattern blast system where it used rotation code to go out in all directions and do damage. I think this is literally the same thing, but with a different algorithm. So instead of doing a star pattern, we're doing just random diagonal lines, basically. They're not exactly random, but it's doing the same thing, except I think what we're seeing is we're seeing yaw, pitch, and roll. So the one we were doing yesterday was just pitch and yaw. This one has roll in it. And to be honest, it really doesn't need it, but it does work. This does provide the same result. Actually, this probably provides a better result than what we saw out of the star pattern. The only difference here is we're only doing 16 degrees per rotation. So we're only going to end up with 16 times 16 times 60, 4,096 different lines, which actually for the size this is perfect. That's actually exactly what we want, but this is inefficient, is to say the least. We could easily replace this with one of my other algorithms and it would go faster, but it would provide different results in the gameplay. I probably will come back through and redo this, but I really need to do is I need to do a research study here of these different algorithms and figure out which one of these actually does perform better, not just from CPU performance, but from gameplay. Because the biggest thing is everything contributes towards the gameplay. If I use the star pattern, I actually do get some better gameplay advantages. But then the efficiency-wise, it's horrible. It's the reason why I use a breadth first Pathfinder in the new version is because it's really efficient, but it provides a lot of gameplay disadvantages where bunkers don't work as effectively. And what I mean they don't work as effectively, if you have a single hole in your bunker, it'll blow through and destroy your bunker. But with this system, a single hole in your bunker doesn't matter as much, which is somewhat realistic. When a blast goes off, hold on, I need paint. I'm realizing I'm just going to have to leave paint out when I'm doing these videos. So when a blast goes off, say you have a bunker like this, it has a doorway, and then you have a tunnel back here. And say you're that little dot there, because this is actually a really good dot to use. So you're this guy hiding back here. If I say hit this spot with a mortar shell, and it blows a blast through here, the blast energy is going to go through here. It's going to hit this wall. In real life, it'll ricochet, and it'll just kind of, the energy will go places, but it will almost never wrap this corner by much. So if you're back here, you're kind of more or less safe. With the breadth first one, though, it literally will wrap the corner and kill you, and you'll die. That being said, the new code, an ICBM, is a radius-based Pathfinder, so when it comes to killing entities. So you're actually still safe with the new code. And the way I can show this again, let me remove these lines. So say the mortar shell hit here. Now, all the blocks in this tunnel will get screwed up by the blast. But because of how the new code works, it can't draw the straight line to you, so you're safe from the damage AoE. Sorta. That will be fixed though. But how it's supposed to work, by the way, is it's really hard to show this on here, and I really wish I had a touchscreen with a pencil or something, because I could show you and explain to you how this works in real life. It works in about the same way as sound waves. For those who don't know how sound waves work, is when you make a sound, it starts off here, it goes out, and it keeps going out in a radius. And then if you were moving, the waves behind you would be smaller than the ones in front of you, or something like that. I don't remember the exact terminology. But when it hits an object, so say you have a thing here, it's going to hit that corner, and now you're going to get an echo. And it's going to come back. Now, because the blast wave is already going this way, these rings in the inner side would not go back towards it. Instead, they would be pushed this way, and they would you'd have more energy coming towards this. So if your blast is going out this way, and it hit this corner, the energy that was going here was going to be redirected this way, but because of the force of blast, it's going to end up adding to that energy that way. At least that's my understanding of it, because it's based on pressure waves. Most of the damage that is done by a blast is via air. If you actually detonate an explosive in a vacuum, it would not do as much damage as it would do in a place full of air. If you're underwater too, it's going to do even more damage to you, because it can travel very easily through the water. Although at the same time, because of the water's there, it dissipates quickly, so your range goes down in water, but then your damage goes up, etc., etc. Physics things. I probably shouldn't have sat there and explained all that, because I feel like half of you won't get it, and the half of you that will get it probably don't care. So this is doing the star pass pattern, whatever. I'm going to have to come up with a better name. I'm going to have to research what this algorithm actually does fully, because this is, I believe, Minecraft code is where this came from. When Cal Clavier made this, he probably copied TNT, because, well, there's TNT in the game, you might as well. And then Mojang got this from somewhere, because I have faith in Mojang that they're smart people, but when this was made, a lot of the guys who worked on Minecraft were probably not the most skilled game developers. They were skilled developers, just not the most skilled game developers. So they got this algorithm from someone else, because this works in such an odd way that this would not be the first thing you thought of if you're a computer scientist. The first thing I thought of when I wanted to do blast code, Pathfinders. They are literally the godsend when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. So this iterates out, and we end up with our blast. It actually moves pretty fast too. I gotta admit this. Let's go ahead and reload this and see if those changes I made to this spot here actually make a difference. Okay. You know, there's actually a really good test I used to do for TNT when it comes to this stuff. This has exactly the same blast radius as TNT. The reason I can tell you this, by the way, is okay. So we just dug out almost a 3x3, not quite, with the condensed, and you come back here and we got another 3x3 here, and we put TNT in here, and this should dig a 3x3 out. I used to use explosives to mine with all the time. Inconclusive test. Let's try that again. I wasn't paying attention whether or not I actually where the starting point was. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so 3x3. So our condensed is doing less damage than a piece of TNT. This is actually pretty bad. The only difference when it comes to this is I believe this starts with more energy, so this will break tougher blocks, but will not have a higher radius. The easiest solution for this is just up the radius. The only problem is, well, it's already created, so I'll have to relaunch the game to fix this. I gotta do something about this code down here though, because this is a mess. This is not friendly on the CPU. The way I can explain this to you, but most of it will go over your head, is in computer science we do something called big O notation. It's designed to tell us programmers how complex an algorithm is on the CPU. Because you can't just say, okay, this runs in 10 seconds on the CPU, because I'm like, what CPU are you talking about? Are you talking about an AMD? Are you talking about an Intel? Are you talking about some weird variation? Because every CPU runs at a different speed, has a differerent clock rate, has multi-threading, not multi-threading. So CPU time itself is worthless to us. We can't measure off of cycles. We can sort of do flops. Flops actually does work. But the way we do it a lot of times is called big O notation. This algorithm here is, I think, big O of n to the 3. So as this goes up, you end up with a higher thing. So why we were talking about 4,096 different iterations. This part here iterates 4,096 times. This part down here, I have no clue. We can calculate this though. Where's var21? So var21 is our starting energy. Minus that. I'm going to say this thing down here iterates maybe 10 times, but that would be n to the 3 plus like 10. Technically that's 10e because, or not e, let's use another number because it's like h. So h would be your energy value up here, n would be your check value here, and this would go up. But when you do big O notation, you ignore this back half because as n gets really, really high, that h value doesn't matter because it doesn't go up, it doesn't scale the same way. So you have a big n of 3 equation here, which is bad because you always want an n of 1. You want your equation to run the same exact time every single time, which technically it does run the same exact time if you consider that this is a static value. So this value is never changes, so therefore technically this is big O of 1, but if you consider the fact that this changes, then it's an n of 3. So let's go ahead and restart this so I can go ahead and change a whole bunch of code. Not really a whole bunch of code, but I'm going to call this raise, and then we're going to call this energy. These two like don't change, so I'm actually confused why you can even do anything with them. So we're actually going to do this public static final, and same with this thing, public static final, because let's check where this is used at. Technically we're used in the breach system here, but this value doesn't change at all, so kind of a little confusing. Get radius, and then we got a system here where we're calculating this based off of radial energy. Well, they don't even use energy in this thing. Look at that. So radial energy is based off of radius, so it's this value it's not even used anywhere in here. Yeah, look at that. It's not used. I can remove this. It's probably used in like one spot. Like, yeah, down here, calculate how much energy we actually do damage-wise. You know what? This is probably not even used properly. Yeah, there's power there, which is our damage. So let's go ahead and we're going to add it back. And we're going to call this power because it's not related to blast energy. It's a different value. Yeah, do refactor. So we're storing energy down here. I don't know where this is even used at because I have no clue. It's used here, but where is this used at? Yeah, this is a dead value. This is sitting here for some reason. It exists, but then nothing touches it, so it's useless. What I want to say, what this actually is used for, in theory, is atomic science has something called a fomentation generator, and I believe this tells the fomentation generator how much power you actually generate from values. Now, this is set up through an API, I believe, so let's go take a look at this. Amount of energy emitted by this explosion in joules approximately based off the real life equivalent. So yeah, that's exactly what that is. So yeah, worthless basically to me. Okay. At least we figured out how this works. So all we have to do is just come out here and set this to like 4. So we'll go ahead and run this again, and then as soon as we get this fixed and we confirm that this actually does at least 1.5 more than TNT, then we're fine. Good thing to note, by the way, is I am kind of fudging this a little bit. when combining explosives in real life, you don't get an additive effect technically. So you can't just go, okay, 1 + 1 = 2 because it doesn't equal twice the explosive radius, and it's not even twice the power. You get a kind of exponential type of system. So, or not exponential, it's logarithmic maybe. I'm not good enough with math to even remember how to do this stuff. But you add like 1 + 1, you get like 1.3 or something like that. So you don't get a perfect addition. And somebody who actually knows physics better than me is probably going to yell at me and tell me I'm completely wrong. But that's how the new ICBM is based off of, at least. And I did a little bit of research that confirmed that to some extent, but I have a lot more work to do to get it set up to be realistic. I also apparently just got spammed by a whole bunch of emails as well. That'll be on my phone and not the computer. If you're wondering, like, you don't see pop-ups over here. Most of the pop-ups don't go to my computer anymore because I know I stream and I know I record, and a lot of these emails I get are confidential now. I got yelled at because somebody saw one of the emails pop up in my video and was like, hey, I don't want people knowing I'm emailing you. So I was like, I had to turn off a lot of my extra email accounts off this computer. And most of it's from school and stuff, so you'll probably see the school ones pop up here in a second. The Windows mail takes a while to catch up, and we're waiting on. What? You see this in the corner right there, right? Let me take a picture. Damn it, it fixed itself. I always like to try to catch bugs with screenshots because I get a collection of photos and people going like, hey, have you ever experienced this bug? It's like, yeah, but I don't believe you've ever experienced it. Like, oh, well, I'll show you the screenshot. I got a video I actually uploaded here of an arc bug where I got stuck on a floor. I actually need to go make a bug report to the game developers here later to go like, hey, I got this happened to me. Although I have to avoid bitching at them too because, oh man, the dinos in that game are super aggressive. I'm up for survival games and stuff, but there is a balance to be maintained, and that game is missing a little bit. It's not a huge amount because it is a really good game. I actually like it, and I've actually figured out how to survive in it now. But when you get spawn camped after logging into your map a few times in a row, it's really frustrating. And I believe the game could mitigate that frustration by trying to take care of you a little bit by going, hey, we're going to spawn you in a spot where there's no predators, and we're going to try to keep you alive. Anyway, so we did the previous test here, and let me mark the spot right there with concrete. So we know where we started at, and we're going to see how big of a hole it makes. Didn't make a difference at all. Okay, what did I mess up here? That's the size. So do this real quick. I just realized I didn't have to restart to fix this part, but oh well. Gave me a chance to wait. Oh, I thought I was looking at the wrong side there for a second. Let's get a torch so I can see what the hell I'm doing. And try this again. That, too much. Too much. Maybe. We got a, let's drop it. Wait, why is there a hole back? What? We got a crater back here. Yeah, that's the problem with these ray casts. When you do explosives this way, is sometimes you get weird effects. Sometimes the effects you get do not make any sense. Okay, so I need to dig even deeper on this one. So that way I get a slightly clean result. I want to say that just did exactly what I wanted it to do. I think I got it one more deep in. We're going to have to put a marker here, and we're going to have to try again. And because I wasn't paying attention, I did not do a measure correctly, so the results are inconclusive. For those who, what I mean by inconclusive is I did a test, and the results I got out of the test are worthless. Yeah, this will work. Okay, so now we just need to test it above ground where I can look at the scattering pattern in dirt and stuff. and then we can call completed on here. So if we do a normal piece of TNT, and we do this, we'll see what the radius looks like. Got about 1, 2, 3, 4-ish sorta out of that. Now let's go over here and do the same thing. Now, once again, these results are sorta inconclusive, but these kind of work. That's a bit high. This is where I need to put configs in, but I'm going to leave this as is. And the reason I'm going to leave this as is technically is it'll work because that just screwed dirt up. It didn't do much to the stone. I take it back, it really did mess the stone up pretty bad. Let's drop it by... So we tried 4, let's do 6. Scale it back just a little bit here. Let's put, we need a better spot, and you know what? That looks like a crater there, even though that's not a crater. That like little bowl shape there. You know, there's a mod that probably should spend time working with the terrain generation and like do like meteorite craters and stuff, and then like, we can find meteorites in the bottom, but they not surface meteorites like applied energies, because I know somebody will mention that if I don't mention it. I'm talking about like meteorite hit that spot, screwed it up, and then you'll find chunks of like iron fragments and stuff. It would be an interesting world generation mod. Let's go ahead and do this. That's a better result. I'm okay with this. Still a little boxy for my opinion though, but I'm okay with that. So that's a good radius. By the way, this will not just do the block itself, so we're just testing blocks, by the way. Blocks, grenades, and missiles all use the same code, and the bomb carts use the same code. They're all the same, pretty much. And this is, by the way, when I also talked yesterday about transferring to the new code, this right here is the transfer to the new code method. This is the old code. So when you trigger the old one, it just calls do create. When you trigger the new one, it creates blast for trigger, which then generates an iWorld change action. The action then calculates the damage of the block. It then sends that to a thread, or actually it sends it to a thread first. The thread then calculates it. Then it dumps all the changes back into the world. That way the thread's taking care of most of this work right here. But to be honest, this is pretty quick if you just didn't notice. In order to update this as well, it's actually pretty easy for this one. This one would just, I would end up having to apply iBlast or something to this, and I could just return the method. But we're not going to do that right now because that's going to take a while. So we're good there. Let's check the breaching charge now. So let's go back to my little testing thing with Bedrock here, and well, we traveled a while, didn't we? I don't remember what hill I stuck us on. Let's see. That's right over here. I got a lot of work left to do in these months. I still gotta get those blocks to fall out of the sky as well. Those were created by, I want to say, the hypersonic and the red matter. Most likely the hypersonic. Anyways, we're still not going to punch through this wall because the energy value is just too low. Not that it uses energy value whatsoever, but nothing happened to the wall. And let's take a test with Tier 1 concrete. I think I would be satisfied if we can punch through Tier 1 concrete because, well, I think Tier 2 is actually pretty expensive. I need to get an EI in here so I can test recipes. Thing is, I think it's actually in here. I just think it might have turned itself off. Hit O to turn it on? No, yeah, it's not in here. Bummer. I really want to test recipes. Okay, so try this. So it should face that direction. We're probably going to want to test rotation here in a bit to see if that may be the problem. Still no damage. Man, I got more emails. Yeah, somebody's going through on the my team projects account, and they're creating milestones for each week, but at the same time, they're generating a ton of things. I would show those off, but I don't think I'm permitted to. Let's see. We're gonna just test stone here, and this is where I need tools. Actually, hold on. Do I have it installed? I don't have it installed. There's a mod I am developing for somebody else. It's called Creations. It's world edit without being world edit. And it has this gauntlet you can use to pretty much place blocks in the world, and you can use it to drag and drop and draw in the world pretty much, which is one of the reasons I actually started working on the mod. Is I like the concept of it, but I didn't just like that concept. The guy who's come up with it was his Dragon Lord. He wanted to do for a mod pack, of course. He has a lot of ideals based on pseudoscience. Now, I know pseudoscience is not real science, for those who don't understand the difference, but it's all those spirituality and mysticism type stuff, and he wants to build a mod around that. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. It feels like Thaumcraft style logic, and there's a lot of really cool things, like you can build lava orbs and smelt stuff in lava orbs, and you can use tornadoes to centrifuge things, and it's a really cool mod that I really hope one of these days I have enough time to work on, because it would just be absolutely fun to play with. Anyways, we're going to do this, and let me just actually do it this way. Now, one of the big things I'm actually worried about when it comes to testing this is that it's facing the wrong direction. We blew out the wall there. So, Now, what I feel like the breaching chart should be able to do is it should be able to at least go through 3 to 4 layers of stone. So let's go ahead and do this. Put this, well, I need bedrock to actually load this, so let's do that real quick so I don't blow out the whole terrain. Okay, let's take a look at this. So when we do the breaching charge, it does have its own unique blast. Now, what I don't get, when this goes off, it does super.doExplode. So we have a depth check. The depth is set somewhere. I doubt this is meant to actually use properly. Depth is 7. So this is designed to go through 7 blocks of material, or it's designed to set the explosion off 7 blocks of the material. So this will go get explosion resistance is greater than obsidian. Wow, that's not useful at all. Okay. I gotta recode this. The reason I'm saying this, by the way, is why the reason I gotta recode this. So what this is doing is it's pathfinding through the rock. So it's going, okay, I want to detonate the explosion that way somewhere. Although in this exact case, it just detonated right here because I think it actually stared straight down. I think the forge direction is incorrect. So if exploder is instance of I rotatable, if not, go direction not down. So we're having a problem where I rotatable isn't working. I can show this. We'll just put a break line right there. So I want to place you this way, and I want to set you off that direction, but you're not going to go that direction. So we are a blast through something. The exploder is an entity explosive. Surprisingly, it's not rotatable. Exploder orientation is 4. That's west, I think. Yeah, that's west. Well, 3 is that way, so there's 1 that is that way. The dumb thing with this rotation here is this is not based on the forge coordinate system, because that technically is 0, that's 1. Hold on. Easy way to determine this is I can go find the forge registry system. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, west. Okay, so it's facing the right direction. So it just faced the right direction. It did not do what I needed to do. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this code is functioning. So we get the difference. Difference is a new pause apparently, because we can't actually determine what direction we want to face. We then take the difference. We then add the difference to the position every single time we want to move forward. So really what we're doing here is we're getting a directional coordinate system. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to a force direction because we actually have a math system for this. I don't know why we're not using it. So the direction equals this. And we're going to do the same thing right down here. To be honest, I can make this even easier to look at by just doing it this way. And then clearing this line out, doing this. We got a direction now. So direction will iterate forward to whatever we want to go. Now what I'm thinking about doing is we got two options how to fix this blast system. I can just flat cheat and just go, okay, anything in front of me that is not blast resistant, go away pretty much. Or I can take the code used in the super and I can limit its arc of attack because I bet this is an option. I'm going to go with step one because step one is by far easier to work with. So we got a random explosion being played. This basically means I need to, well, actually I don't need that. I was going to say I can change this to no longer be super, but there's no point. Determine how big of a hole we want. I want to say 3 by 3 sounds appropriate. And then we want the breaching charge to go through 2 layers of highly resistant material, if not more. So we'll do it this way. So for int y equals 0, y is less than 3, so that'd be 0, 1, 2. And then y plus plus, this will get our up and down. Actually, what we want to do is I want to do -1 to 2. So that'd be -1, 0, 1 is how this will actually work. And then we want to do sort of the x, not exactly the x. So we want to do w is what this actually would, we're going to call this just to not confuse myself. And actually what I'm also going to do is I'm going to call this h so I don't confuse myself. The reason I'm doing it this way is technically if you face the explosive down, this turns into the, well, this doesn't turn into the width, it should turn into the width. Okay, I have to think this through a little bit more, but up and down won't work correctly the first go with this. So we have a depth. So this wants to go through 7 layers of material maximum. Sounds okay-ish. I don't think 7's appropriate. Kind of want the blast to weaken. That's what we want it to do. So we want to go, okay, you have so much energy to expend. So could expend it. Yeah, I have an idea. Okay, so we want to start off with an energy value. So we go float energy equals the amount of depth we want to go times 3 times, what's the blast resistance of obsidian? What mod is this one? Oh, it's Blastcraft. I'll go with super method here and we'll just Google it real quick. Or not Google it, search for it. Okay, so obsidian has a hardness of 50 and a resistance of 2000. So we want to go through 2 layers of obsidian is what we kind of want to target. What is the blast resistance of the concrete in this mod? That's a really good question. Oh, wrong mod. We want this one. Okay, so we have concrete. So we want to go block concrete. Wow. So our max explosive resistance is 50. We don't want to go through 2 layers of obsidian. That's not what we're going to do. I want to go through 2 layers of this guy. So let's go, this is going to be 40. Obsidian, just whatever. There's a config to turn it down. So that's 2000 by default. That's ridiculous. Do not hard code. I'll have to come back here and fix that. You theoretically don't want to hard code things. It's a bad idea. And I just realized this video is almost an hour long, so I'll have to wrap this up quickly. So we want to go through 2 layers of material, and technically means we're going to kill 6 blocks with an explosive by default. We are going to go 7 deep, but as soon as we run out of energy, we're going to stop going. So we want to calculate how much energy we have available, and we want to push forward 1 row at a time. And we want to do a breadth first insertion sort technically, but try to think about how to do this. We'll do it the easy way first, and I'll come back in the second video and I'll do it the correct way. So do that. So here's our depth. When we go through our depth, and we want to then go width-wise. We technically want to start in the center, but so we want to get our explosive resistance. Float E, do that way. We don't care at all about doing the super call. We don't want to mess with the blasted blocks. We just want to break things. So we're going to go, if E is what, or E is less than 40, we then want to go energy minus equal E. The reason why we're doing a check here is we're going to go if the block's too hard, just don't waste energy. It's going to just make the block impossible to do anything with. Then we want to go, oh, there's no blown blocks. Affected block positions dot add. What does this want actually position-wise? What do you stick in that thing? Add hash set. What gets added to this hash set? Chunk positions. Okay, that works. It's not what we actually want to do. So I'm going to go pause, equals new pause, and I just realized I made a mistake here. So you'll have to give me a second to fix this. Let's not worry about this one. This is actually an event fix is what that would be, which I do need to do. I also need to do some protection systems here later. This is going to be position, to pause, or actually no, position. Actually, I got a better way to do this. New pause, and we want to do direction. Technically, we want to do direction. So we want to calculate what direction we're going in, but we don't want to. Let's start up here because this is gonna be tedious. Pause. Dr equals this dot multiply by I. So that's where we're at. We then want to create our position up here. So we're going to go pause P equals direction dot multiply. This is where it gets tricky because we moved in a direction. We don't know what direction precisely we moved in. Actually, we can get that, so that's not what I'm talking about. But if we're going up, then we can't use h for our y value because h would be our depth if we're going up, and we don't want to do that way. So we do need to do a system here. So I'm going to go if direction equals forge direction dot down or direction equals forge direction dot. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna have to sort this whole thing. Shoot, there's no way to do this easy. So what we want to do is we're going to go, okay, if forge or if direction equals forge direction dot down or direction equals forge direction dot up. So there's two cases for this, and there's going to be two cases for each and every direction. I forgot an equal here. So it would be else statement here, and another else statement here. Do it this way. Put an E here, put a west here, put a north, south, okay. And then we're going to go P equals this. And we don't want to multiply, actually, we want to add here. So a little bit off on this. So we're going down, then technically we can just do pretty much this. It doesn't really matter which one we're using for height and width, only that we are using both of those values. If we're going east, we don't want to mess with the z direction. So this is where this would be a 0, this would be an h, this would be a w, and then we're down here, we don't want to mess with the x direction, because x would be our depth, I think. No, z would be our depth in this regard. Yeah, I mixed them up. Happens. So put a 0 here, put a w here, I think. Yes, that should be right. So this will get us our correct direction. And then if we get an else, just return, I don't know. Because that should work. So then that means P is our position. So what we want to do is we're going to go p.getBlock. Pass in world here, of course. If a getBlock doesn't equal blocks.error, we do want to store the block here real quick because apparently we're calling it twice. So we want to make sure we might as well store it. So getBlock, and that way I can go here. Yeah, we'll just do this hard way. There's no easy way to do this. Well, let me phrase. There's an easy way to do this, but might as well do it this way because the code's already sitting here. The easy way would be to use the prefab built into the pause class, but this works just fine. So this should result in stuff dying pretty much. So we want to go p.set block to error, and then we want to go world. Let me go to the super real quick. So super.doExplode. There is this system of where we keep track of blown blocks. So I actually do need to be adding stuff to it. And technically, let me tell you, your private method, we're gonna have to restart. There's no way around that. Where we have video time, 1 hour 4. So let's go to the super here. I'm gonna rename this to Blast TNT because that is literally what this is. It's not a repulsive class. It's TNT. And it just got misnamed at some point. Probably when I was translating it from Chinese to English. So we calculate our damage blocks here. Then we actually destroy the blocks here. So I need to make a method here that's protected. Void do destroy blocks. And then what we're going to do is copy this part. And then I want to copy this piece here. Actually, let me grab the whole piece here. I want to make another method for this. Protected void calculate damage. And then what we do is we can just do this, calculate damage, then do destroy blocks. And then I can override the calculate damage method in this method here. Save myself a couple minutes of time. And then I just need to make blown blocks public, or protected. Okay, and this should work out. What we want to do is we don't want to do this. We don't want to delete our blocks here. So what we're only doing here is we're only calculating what blocks we're blowing up. And also we're going to go is if E is less than or equal to 0, break. Actually, we need energy is not. There we go. And apparently I got an extra thing there. So if we hit where we run out of energy, we're done. That'll be the easiest way to do this. And then we go ahead and launch this and get going. And man, my phone is getting spammed. I don't really like this. Whatever the system my university is using is called Unfundle. It generates a massive amount of tickets. I want to show this just as an example here, because we gotta wait for the things to load anyways. Look at that. This is the number of tickets that have just been created in the last hour. Just redonk. Too many tickets. And to be honest, I think I just gotta sign like half this work myself. And my team leader's going through and assigning people work on what the program, and I think I gotta sign like half the work. And I'm like, I don't program in Android. It's gonna take me the whole week just to learn how to do it. I mean, my closest thing with Android is I use some kind of template builder to build an application like a while back, but never really did anything with it. But anyways, keeping back on subject. So what this should do is this should iterate forward and blow blocks out. It's going to not be perfect, but it's going to work a lot better than what was there. Because what was there was essentially stepping forward into the rock face and then was setting off a conventional explosion. So it technically worked like a breach charge, but it didn't work like a breach charge. So it would result in the same effect, but through cheating means. What you want to do with an actual breach charge is, because how breach charge works in real life is you have a piece of metal at the back of the explosive, and you have a piece of explosive in the piece of metal, and it's wedge shaped, so that way all the explosive charge goes forward rather than backwards. So all of your energy goes in one direction, so you poke a hole through the wall. So that's what we want to do. I actually plan to play a lot around with that concept here in the Armory mod eventually. The plan is to do a lot of a plastic explosive type devices. One of them is going to be a door breach. This is going to, when I mean door breach, I don't mean just a little charge you put on a door to blow a lock open. I mean it's a door-shaped charge that puts a hole through the wall that the U.S. military likes to use for insertion. It's a really cool device, and I would like to put it in Minecraft because I believe it would be useful to be able to poke door hole sizes through bunkers. It most likely when I program it, it's going to be only able to go through one layer of concrete. So if you actually want to poke through a full bunker, you'll have to bring a whole bunch of them. But we're in Minecraft. You can basically pick up the Eiffel Tower in your pocket. Okay. So we got the new breach charge. We should be able to go through this. Okay. So let's go ahead and watch our code. Our direction is west, so good. Placement code works. Yeah, that's fine. That's not fine. Yeah, no blocks are going to disappear because I messed my math up. So 2pos dot add. Copy this up here. And then what I want to do is go p equals 2p.add p. So translate by center. So I messed up and got the wrong center point here, and that's why it's not working. And my phone's vibrating again. God, I'm gonna have to unsubscribe from Unfundle. Okay, so we should be able to follow this code through again, and it should work this time. So we're getting our directions correctly, and the only reason I'm pathing through this real quick is I want to make sure the coordinates we're getting is somewhat correct. Oh, we just ran into bedrock. Lol. Let's just do this real quick, and I'll just watch the result. Did I crash the game? No? Why can't I tab back in? There it goes. Oh, that went through too much. Did I mess the energy value up? Hold on, take a look at this. Depth times 3 times 40. Yeah, I messed this up. Okay, so 40 times 2 plus depth. Yeah, times 3 will be fine. Yeah, I made the energy too high. So what we want to do is we want to go through 2 layers of concrete and then a couple layers of stone. So let's test the concrete first. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and we'll put the concrete up 2 layers. Not bad. That actually is exactly what I expected to happen. Now, by the way, the reason why we have a hole on the side here but not here is because of the way the iterator is working here. We're starting off in the corner and we're going upwards. The reason I said I have to come back through and program this correctly, but this works. I'll go ahead and end the video here, and I'll be back at another time with another video.